The father's ending is a twisting and emotional journey that leaves the movie on a heartbreaking note. The film was Florian Zeller's directorial debut, and it suddenly appeared on most viewers' radar when Anthony Hopkins upset Chadwick Boseman for Best Actor at the 2021 Oscars ceremony. Controversy aside, Zeller's The Father features a towering performance from Hopkins, as well as an expertly plotted screenplay from Zeller, whose direction provides the film a perspective that connotes the perplexing artwork of M.C. Escher. But the story of the acclaimed 2020 film begins in 2012 with the premiere of Le Père. Zeller wrote the play Le Père, which garnered him widespread critical acclaim in the theater community beginning in 2012. He had written the father's lead role of Anthony specifically for Hopkins, believing him to be the greatest living actor, via Deadline. Anthony's daughter Anne, Olivia Colman, is attempting to find a long-term care solution for her stubborn but often confused parent. The father is told subjectively from Anthony's point of view, affected by his dementia, making certain facts seem to change over the course of the narrative. Such frustrations culminate in the father's ending scene. What happens in the father's ending scene? Anthony is left in a heartbreaking yet inevitable reality. Catherine, the doctor and the father, talking to Anthony. By the end of The Father, Anthony's flat has reached the end of its several iterations and become an assisted living facility, where he is cared for by his nurse Catherine, Olivia Williams, and her assistant Bill, Mark Gatiss. The father has actors play multiple characters as a thematic representation of dementia. These caretakers are faces Anthony has seen before, having perceived his daughter and son-in-law each as bearing a resemblance to Catherine and Bill at one point or another. In the final scene, it's clear Anthony's hold on reality has slipped to the point where he can no longer muster the effort to determine which of his memories are real and which are disjointed composites of his experiences. In an emotionally gut-wrenching scene that forms the climax of the film, Anthony remembers his mother to Catherine and suddenly wishes to go home as tears overwhelm him. He confides in Catherine that he feels he is losing all his leaves in his twilight and has become unattached from the things that gave him life value. As he cries in Catherine's arms, she settles him down and tells him he won't remember this unpleasantness soon, that they'll go for a walk later, and everything will be all right. In the end, the father's camera ventures out his window, observing the trees whose leaves rustle in the wind. It's a heartbreaking and personal moment in the film that elevates the emotional aspects of his character's story, which is often filled with so much confusion, hazy memories, and uncertainty regarding what's real and what isn't. As if Anthony's emotional monologue wasn't enough to bring audiences to tears, the father's ending song is the chilling My Journey, an apt score for the film's story. What was real and what was in Anthony's head in The Father? It's hard to tell what only went on in his head and Paul in a living room in The Father. Because of the subjective, labyrinthine quality of The Father, it's easy to wonder what actually happened to Anthony and what he imagined or erroneously put together in his mind. The movie puts the patriarch at the forefront, entreating the audience to empathize with him in a way that mirrors the character's feeling of being victimized by his surroundings. He frequently misremembers faces, particularly as Catherine and Paul as Bill. In one shot, he is smothered by and in his sleep. In another scene, Paul physically assaults him. In yet another, Anthony discovers his daughter and son-in-law speaking ill of him, only to join them, leave, and return to the same scenario he first encountered. Certainly, at a minimum, the smothering was imagined, given he lives through to the end of The Father. It emphasizes the sense of vulnerability Anthony feels at the hands of Paul, who very well likely slapped him and spoke brazenly against him. Then, there's the matter of his midnight visit with his youngest daughter, Lucy. It's implied that she had a serious accident and is likely deceased. Anthony, not being able to remember this, continually brings up the subject, especially about how much his most recent caretaker resembles her. In one of the father's later scenes, he explores the flat, finding it to have become a hospital, where he finds Lucy, bloodied and in a brace, lying in a bed with all manner of medical machinery about her. He suddenly wakes from what was a dream or memory, finding himself in his assisted care facility, where he will spend the remainder of the film.